Welcome back, everyone. My name is Riley, once again here at Zavala Hobbies, coming at you with another video about Warhammer, or at least my Warhammer journey, which at this point got to Age of Sigmar. Because let me tell you, I didn't do a whole lot when I was younger when it comes to this hobby, so it jumps around quite frequently until the last like 2 or 3 years. But Age of Sigmar, I believe, was right around the 2016 mark, and that's when at least my brother and I got the first box. It was the ones that come with Stormcast and Khorne. He actually accidentally got 2 of them somehow, and so we doubled up everything essentially. But I kept the Khorne units because he was like, yeah, I really want the Stormcast. And I was like, all right, cool. Like, I don't really care. You know, I wasn't really into it because I didn't know anything about it at the time. But all in all, it was really cool to play, like be able to have that kind of experience again, especially because it was something my brother and I hadn't shared for nearly like, I don't know, almost 8 years at that point. But the major thing with those boxes and those units is the Khorne army. I wasn't really a fan of. Like it wasn't something I wanted. I didn't, see it and like, oh, go buy this. It was just what came in the box. So it was cool. It was cool to kind of get back into it, paint, learn how to spray paint myself rather than having like, my dad or my brother do it for me. So it was just a cool learning experience for knowing how to do all of it on my own. And especially because I was at least, was that 2016? I don't know. I would have been like 18, 19 years old or something. I don't know how to do math. But all in all, it was cool. It was cool to kind of get back into it and have that hobby again, but I didn't really do a whole lot with it. Now, at least not until the next year, in 2017, which is when I think I actually would have taken some of my Chaos units with me to college to kind of work on those. But it really wasn't a great experience with it, only because I didn't have a place or like a workstation like I do now to do anything with the hobby. My desk at the time was actually in the living room of my apartment with my other roommates, and it was like kind of like this situation where my desk would be right here, and then there's literally someone like right behind me with their desk, except we were like side by side, so like they would have been like right to my left or right or whatever. But all in all, like it wasn't really comfortable. The fact that I had to have headphones on always and like try and have music playing or whatever going on, it was just too distracting to be able to be like, hey, I'm gonna do this right now. But after that is kind of when Age of Sigmar became more prevalent for me, which was in 2019. So about 3-ish years later from that point, and about 3-ish years prior from today. Age of Sigmar came to me because I really wanted to get back into the hobby, and I wanted to paint something that was cool. I just wanted to kind of get back into it. And so I picked up the Sylvaneth, the Start Collecting box specifically, which has some Dryads, I want to say it's called a Branch Wraith, and the Tree Lord, which can be turned into Durthu, which I did. Giant tree with a sword. Kind of dope. That army was really cool. I painted pretty much all of the Dryads, or at least kind of got them to a point where you can consider them being like ready for the tabletop. But I know there's a lot more I can kind of go back and like fix or just kind of tweak to make them look a little better. I haven't touched Durthu at all because I've just been super intimidated by it, mainly because like pokey bits. But I definitely will go to that eventually because I do love that model. But all in all, the Sylvaneth were an army that I was excited for because I liked the idea of Wood Elves. Wood Elves was something that I was always really interested in during Fantasy, and got even more interested in the year leading up to 2019 because of Total War Warhammer 2. In that game, I would play the Wood Elves, and it was amazing. It was fantastic. I loved the idea. I loved the concept, and that was kind of what I was hoping for when I got back into Age of Sigmar. But me, being dumb, didn't do any research and didn't know that the Wood Elves were essentially non-existent in Age of Sigmar, and that they were part of the cities of Sigmar, which, you can combine things and all that stuff, but in order for like just simplicity's sake, it wasn't possible. So I quickly kind of didn't grow away from it. It was just more of like, oh, okay, everything I wanted to do, I can't really do with it, not in the way that is necessary. So I'll keep it, but that's when I kind of got hooked onto the concept of the Edeneth Deepkin. They were a really cool army to me, one of the first armies that was really impacted me based off of the lore that made me want to get them. But not just that, they're underwater living elves with a giant sea turtle, sharks, eels, and like a sea dragon looking thing. That's dope because I love the wildlife, or sorry, ocean life in general. I wanted to be a marine biologist. I still want to go learn stuff about fish. Fish are cool. Anyway, the main issue with the Edeneth, though, as an army, is they're very limited. There's not a lot of units that you can buy. I pretty much have everything available, at least one of everything, except for like the main like hero units or named units. I think there's like 2 or 3 that I'm missing. But the Edeneth as a whole, really cool concept, just lacking for me. And they're actually I think the thralls that come in that start collecting box is the very first unit that I have fully painted where I'm like happy with it. Like, yeah, this is good. I'm cool with it. I can definitely still add layers and highlights and stuff like that, but they're base coated and they look nice from a distance. So that's really all that matters to me sometimes. And the Leviathan as well. I love that model. That turtle is so fun. It was so intimidating to paint, but the fact that I was able to actually do it and in a way that I really wasn't expecting it was really cool. It was the first time that I've ever painted something as big as that size model, a behemoth, if anything. And you know, it's not done. It's not to where I really want it to be yet, but it's cool to know that I was actually able to get it to that point. I do still need to do the base and kind of get it attached to it before I can use it, but you know, it's one of those models that I'm really proud of, and I should have some pictures of it on my Instagram and Twitter. My Twitter's a little weird right now because I need to integrate some stuff because I kind of messed something up, but it is somewhere out there. Plus all my other socials I forgot to mention in the beginning, but yeah, go check them out. Our TikTok is the one that we use the most, and we do have the Twitch as well. We just don't stream that frequently. But other than that, after the Edeneth came the it wasn't really a what came next. It was a passion project. So to me, the Seraphon have always been an army that I've loved. You know, giant lizards, really cool, but it was never like an army like, oh, I really want to play them, I really want them. It was because our friend, my brother and I's friend from the very first video where I talked about he got us into Warhammer, he had a Stegodon that he had fully painted, and it was like really cool, really nice, and I was blown away by it. You know, I kept thinking to myself like, wow, that's what we can do in this hobby. I want to do that eventually. And so when I finally got it back into this and I was like, all right, I know what I'm doing, I can do this, I bought the start collecting box for the Seraphon so that way I could kind of continue building that toward that Stegodon. And eventually I was actually able to get a Stegodon itself, and I was able to get the start collecting box for the Skinks, and I'm really happy that there's going to be new Seraphon units coming out in the coming future, because to me the Seraphon is going to be that one of those things where it's just a display piece. I'm going to paint them all up nicely, put them on, you know, display in my living room, because to me that army is like a memorial to that friend, and it's something that I really want to work toward. And painting those, has always been nerve-wracking, because it's like if I mess up, like I'm screwed. But I've learned from that though. Like, you need to mess up on these things. You need to mess up on stuff that you don't really know if it's going to turn out the way you want it to, because sometimes you just need to have that experience and grow from, hey, this mistake is now something new in there. So I'm really excited to kind of keep working on that army. That's something that I don't really have a timeline on. It's just there. And the reason I decided to talk about 3 separate armies in this one go is because honestly, those 3 armies, they're as cut and dry as it is. It's really based on their coolness factor for me, and like their small meaning as to what they were doing. And also, those are the 3 armies that are the smallest out of all of them that I own. I own like, I want to say like maybe 8 or 9 Age of Sigmar armies, but those are like the absolute smallest ones. The next 4 that I'll be talking about in their own videos, because they just have so much stuff, is going to be the Stormcast, the Uruk War Clans, the Soulblight Gravelords, and the Skaven. Now, those 4 armies are all like huge. If I were to put them out on the tabletop, it would take up the entire desk. Similar to how when I put out my entire Sisters of Battle army in a video, on a TikTok video we did a couple of weeks back, it literally filled my entire desk because it's a 2,000 point army. For these Age of Sigmar armies, they are 2,500 points minimum, with my Stormcast being 4,000. It's a lot. But I love those armies. Those are the 4 that I actually play, and I'm actively constantly adding to them, building them, and painting them. For example, here's an Annihilator I did. He's not done, but I have the brass done on him, which is really the only thing I've changed from it. It's supposed to be gold normally, but I was like, the gold's too bright. I don't know. I'd rather keep it that like brassy bronze color. But yeah, that Stormcast is one of those big armies that I'm really working on right now. I have some of the dragon riders in a box actually right behind me. The entire desk right now is just full of the entirety of the the Battle Force box that came out a few weeks ago, and so that's just what I'm working on. But yeah, all in all, that's pretty much how I got back into Age of Sigmar. Was back in 2019. I ended up picking up 3 separate armies in the span of like a few months, and just hit the ground running for the most part, you know. And in the last like year or so now is when I've really kind of gone overboard with it. It's when I've gotten a lot of things. I'm telling you guys, go check out the TikTok, because there is so much. You can see a lot of the stuff we have in the TikToks, from all of our armies to the whole paint setup right here, to like even, you know, all the stuff that's on the shelf behind me. I have a lot of crap. I have a lot of hobbies, and I love talking about it, and that's what I want to, you know, extend to you guys, is leave some comments about what you're enjoying right now, what you're doing, painting, building, playing, whatever it may be. Right now, one of my other big hobbies at the moment is The Witcher. Love that series, love those books. I'm on the 3rd to last book, The Tower of Swallows. I have 2 more left, and then after that, I'm going to jump straight into the video games. I have the first 2 on Steam here, then I have the 3rd one on the PlayStation, so I'm definitely going to play those, maybe stream them, who knows. But yeah, I'm enjoying that, and that's kind of why I've been distracted from Warhammers, because I need to take a break from straining my eyes on little things. Gotta strain my eyes on a bigger thing. But yeah, once again though, thanks for tuning in, and check out everything else we got to offer. Check out our podcast as well. We should be having another episode coming out next week. I've just been kind of on a hiatus these last 2 weeks, just from scheduling conflicts, but expect more to come. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll catch you later.